back to, I would say, the 1999 earthquakes, the so-called earthquake diplomacy between the two countries. And at that time, we had Yorgos Papadopoulos.
Yorgos Papandreou.
I'm sorry, Papandreou. And on the other side, we had Ismail Cem, and we had this sort of flourishing of diplomatic sort of ties, really tabling of some difficult issues. Greece lifted its objections to Turkey's EU accession because there was a change of...
It was a totally different zeitgeist.
Right, it was, exactly. And because, it was a fundamental realization that a Turkey inside of Europe or close to Europe was in Greece's best interest and the European Union's best interest. And I think, Greece's foreign ministry today still has the basic view that, Greece does not want to be the frontier state, right? They would rather have a good neighborly sort of relationship with Turkey, one way or another, if they can solve bilateral problems, either directly or through mediation. But essentially, Erdogan makes that impossible because we never know essentially when he's going to tap into his foreign policy portfolio, right? Turn to the page of Greece and Cyprus and use that as a means to antagonize them, because at home, that sort of antagonism, the threatening towards Greece, threatening its sovereignty, or continuously digging to not resolve or seriously take steps to address the Cyprus issue, wins votes for him. But it also makes its immediate neighbors guess, is Erdogan going to essentially do something rash? Are we going to see conflict in the Eastern Mediterranean? But beyond that, just the immediate Erdogan's mentions, I think 20 years of his rule, the anti-Westernism, the anti-Americanism, the anti-Israeli, just this whole sort of anti-foreigner sort of mindset has gripped the country. And he has really successfully injected this notion that foreign entities are out to essentially undermine Turkey. So this is not the vision. I don't think Erdogan is at all interested in substantively addressing bilateral issues.
Last September, the G20 countries initiated the IMEC corridor, India, Middle East, and Europe, and Turkey is not a part of this corridor. Is that an issue for Turkey to somehow, raise its arm and say, "Hey, I'm one of the biggest countries in the region, and whatever plans you have, you should also include me in"?
I mean, I would say it can do that. It's not really going to help it. But as far as whether it's IMEC, whether it's the East Mediterranean Gas Forum, right, all these initiatives that have begun in the 2010s, or more recently than that, regardless, are essentially exploratory sort of diplomatic and economic as well as energy initiatives that seeks to build new, safe, sustainable alternatives to securing energy and other sort of trade relationships. Just the fact that Israel and, if I'm not mistaken, Lebanon demarcated maritime borders, right, was probably unthinkable a decade ago, right? With the falling apart of relationship between Turkey and Israel, the Israelis didn't waste any time in building up a relationship with other Muslim countries because they need to essentially survive and thrive in the region. They can't just wait for Turkey to essentially come back. But in terms of why Turkey hasn't been included in any of these, it's not because they don't want to include Turkey. It's because Turkey presents too much of a big risk in terms of how do we negotiate, with you. And until Turkey addresses some core issues in the region, right? The fact that it doesn't recognize the Republic of Cyprus is a huge problem. We cannot move on this issue. We cannot have Turkey included in the East Mediterranean Gas Forum or it doesn't recognize the existence of Crete. It's just a huge problem.
Which power you think can influence, put pressure on Turkey the most? Is it the US? Is it Germany and the EU? Is it Russia?
I would say until now, I would say the country which has most sort of influenced Turkish foreign policy behavior has been the Russians, right? To the point that the Russians pressured Turkey into buying the S-400s as part of a resolution for why, after Turkey shot down the Russian fighter jet in November 2015, one of the conditions that Putin wanted to normalize